Yeah, but you know what? It's CBS, so it wouldn't put it past them.
I wouldn't put it past Disney. Disney will sue on behalf of CBS. You need somebody to sue? Hey, we'll do it. Come on, let's do it. Come on, guys, let us do it.
Cease and desist. They just send a video cease and desist, and it's goofy.
We are live, guys.
Hey, why not? We'll keep going. Gosh, you need to stop doing that.
You need to just stop doing that right now.
We're gonna take you to court.
Yep.
And then they do a classic, goofy short where, he tries to show the process of going to court, and he screws it up every last bit of it. To ending with, the Yahoo!
You want us to remake the Marvel Universe again? Don't make us do it. We'll do it. We'll cancel Kingdom Hearts 3.
Oh, geez, don't do that. It'll be another 10 years.
Yeah, I was going to say the game that's been in production for how many years now?
There was no guarantee that it was even going to be made in the first place. And apparently we got somebody in the Twitch chat commenting. Let's see.
Goldfinger.
I'm laughed my ass off, bro. Bruff lol. Boy, that's a mouthful. Well, welcome to the stream. We're probably going to bore you. We're going to try not to bore you. Please stick around.
But yes, welcome to another Wednesday night live Geek EZ, where we just sit around and BS for an hour and a half, 2 hours. Let's get all the other stuff out the way, that whole start the show thing, and we'll be right back. Give us about 25 seconds.
The following podcast is intended for mature audiences. The opinions expressed do not reflect this station or any affiliated partners. Listener discretion is advised.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Geek EZ.
Hey, look, there we are. In all our drawn-up glory. Gonna have to draw up Badger and Roland, too.
Yeah, but Badger's just a badger.
And Roland's
and
just
Roland's,
a robot.
I was going to say, now Roland's just, like a hat. Because, most of the time he's never here. But he's here.
He's here. No Alistair yet again. But we'll see.
To be fair, Alistair's been dealing with the whole, the floodings and the hurricanes.
Not feeling well. Yeah, so it's all good. He'll be back. Maybe he'll come back with a vengeance and he'll be like ranting for like 2 hours.
We'll have to do one extra show.
So where do we start? Because there's been up and downs and there's been geeky news about Russian bots and Discovery and fans going stupid and Venom and...
Yeah, I was going to say, we are Venom.
All right, so that's our start point. We're going to talk about the train wreck that apparently is Venom.
It would appear, yeah, from the supposed conspiracy out there that fans of Lady Gaga have set up a campaign to destroy Venom by giving it bad ratings, to the horrible. Well, it's not really horrible. It's got pretty low review scores coming in right now. A lot of critics are finding it childish, boring. I'm trying to think of all the other adjectives I saw thrown at it. Uninspired. Yeah, it was just generally not panned, but kind of just meh.
It's almost like they're repeating themselves, though, because, they announced that they were going to do Venom right after Spider-Man 3 back in the day, and it just never really gelled back then.
They also announced that they had it in the works for when they were doing the Amazing Spider-Man run.
And they were also talking about doing like a Sinister Six film. That's actually what they're talking now, too. It's like, yeah, they keep on trying to resurrect these ideas, and no one's really digging them.
Well, I honestly think it's because they decided to move forward with Venom and leave Spider-Man completely out of it. That
And
could have
then-
been such an epic movie arc had they gone and used the symbiote and Spider-Man and done it that way and run through it. Not with I mean, they would have to somehow get around the Secret Wars aspect of it, but where they would give Spider-Man the symbiote suit and then have it roll from there. And actually, maybe if they just did like Spider-Man 300 and just used that as the basis for everything, maybe it would have.
Temporary derail here.
Yeah.
What would Batman with a symbiote be called?
Batman.
Just Batman. It's always Batman.
It's just Batman. But I mean, there was a way for that to happen, and they just. I guess it was they want to start their own universe. I was like, well, guys, you're already working in tandem with a company that has got a track record of blowing it out of the water. The film that you did in with them, the two films that you worked in tandem with them, did really well box office wise. Why walk away from that? Why not embrace it and say, okay, you know what? We've got Spider-Man. We still hold the rights, but we work with Marvel, and our movie made money, and everybody really enjoyed it. And Tom Holland is doing a really good job in the role. Let's keep going with this. But no, you know what? We're going to gate the fact that Spider-Man even exists and try to do Venom without it. And I guess it's not working.
At least not according to the critics, because
According to
it's
the critics.
only been in Los Angeles? Did I read that right?
Yes, it comes out tomorrow night. I will be going to see it tomorrow night, and then I'll be seeing it again the following weekend.
I will be seeing it sometime this weekend, so I don't know. I'd love to be. Maybe we'll just do. I mean, are we gonna? Is everybody gonna see it? Are we not gonna see it?
I have-
Venom. I'm going to go see it.
I have no intention of seeing it.
Oh, okay. I mean, it's not. I mean, I'm more hyped for Aquaman than I was for Venom. I wasn't really hyped for Venom in the first place. I was like, why are they doing Venom without Spider-Man? But yeah. I
Well,
mean, I'll see it this weekend.
Venom would be more of a movie where you show him in Spider-Man, and then you do a spin-off movie. You know,
Yeah.
you show kind of like what happened in, unfortunately, like in 3, where he gets the symbiote, he gets the new suit, and the suit fights back. That's the storyline. That's how it's supposed to go. It doesn't start with Eddie Brock. He starts with Peter Parker. And then, you know, it morphs into Venom. So
Yeah, and then you could run the symbiotes. You could do Venom versus Carnage and all that kind of stuff, and leave Spider-Man on the sidelines and use him only if needed for the story, because you still own the rights to that character. But I mean, I don't get why they negated it completely.
They should have used Tom Holland as a launching point. I mean, they still own him as well. So it's, you know, it's kind of like a tug of war game. It's like, okay, well, even though Holland's character, spoiler alert, is you know, gone. I understand that they wanted to move forward anyway.
He didn't want to go, but he is gone.
Yeah, but I don't know. I just think that they should have waited on Venom until after Phase 4, whether it's connected to the Marvel Universe or not. They should have at least thought about it and thought this through and decided, you know what, let's just work with Marvel and see where this goes. But they decided, nope. We want to do this. This is ours. You know, we're grown up.
We want our own universe. We want our own universe. We want to have, because I mean, DC's got theirs and Marvel's got theirs, and now Marvel has Fox too. So,
and Universal tried.
Yeah,
It didn't get very far.
No, they got like one movie and nah, they gave up.
but it's the whole idea of, oh, we need our own franchise. We need that. It's like, you know what? I'm kind of getting burnt on the whole franchise thing. Not that, and believe me, I mean, when it comes to comic movies, I will always go see a comic book movie, whether it's bad or good and all that kind of stuff. And same with Star Wars. I will still go see Star Wars movies. I will see Star Trek movies because I am a fan of Star Wars and Star Trek and comic books. I'm a geek. I like these things. Do you have to like them all the time? No. And you know what? I'm probably going to walk out of Venom being a comic book fan. And I'm gathering they're doing a buddy movie kind of thing. So, I mean, I like those kind of things. If it's got humor in it and it works, then I'll probably like it. And as long as I'm entertained, I'm not going to be like completely like, rah, 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 unless it's a really bad movie, like Predators or The Predator. Wow, that was just a horrible film.
Yeah, that was terrible.
That was so bad. There was so much wrong. The we'll see. I mean, I can't say anything. I'll see the movie this weekend and I'll find out for myself. But the way the critics are talking about it, the child that it really just doesn't go anywhere. It's kind of, I'll see. It scares me. It does scare me. But I also don't understand Sony's reasoning behind the decision making of trying to do a Spider-Man villain character who kind of becomes an anti-hero later. And honestly, I think he's probably Spider-Man's best villain.
Yeah, I
Arguably.
would say either that or Dr. Octopus.
Yeah, I mean, I was never a big fan of the Green Goblin, even though he is basically the Joker of if Spider-Man was Batman, he would be the Joker. But I always found Venom to be the like penultimate kind of he's the dude.
You just never know whether he's going to help him or try to attack him.
Firefly's right. Yeah, Mysterio done right can be really interesting, but a lot of times Mysterio is done wrong, especially in the early days. Mysterio was kind of a joke. He had a really odd costume, and it was just, I know a lot of people think that Kraven the Hunter is like one of those. I always found Kraven to just be silly. But I really like Venom.
Kraven is a good villain.
Spider-Man
has some damn good villains. Probably some of the best villains in all of Marvel, I think. Some of the most iconic villains in all of Marvel. I mean, you name 5 major big bads from Iron Man that you know off the top of your head that don't share a universe.
Mandarin, Whiplash. That's the only ones I can think of. Fing Fang Foom is not an Iron Man bad guy.
He
is. Is he?
Yeah, I think that was originally. He kind of moves around.
MODOK.
I thought Fing Fang Foom was Fantastic Four.
He's both.
He kind of moves around.
Fair. Yeah. MODOK.
Ironmonger. He was a comic book character.
Yeah.
And what's the red one? Isn't there a Russian one?
Yeah. But in all, we had to think about it.
Titanium Man. Crimson Dynamo, that's the guy I'm thinking about.
Yeah, Crimson Dynamo. But with Spider-Man, we know these villains. We know them pretty well
Goblin,
compared to everyone
Venom,
else.
Scorpion, Rhino,
Hobgoblin.
Hobgoblin. You could just ramble him off. Yes, because Spider-Man
negative.
It's like that's really funny when you're thinking about that, because I guess popularity-wise, Wolverine was and probably still is considered the most popular of the Marvel heroes. Problem is, can you name, aside from Sabretooth, a villain for Wolverine? How about just the X-Men?
I got one. The whole Marvel universe.
Yeah. I don't know. Well, I mean, it just doesn't make any sense to me, because especially when you think that Marvel has now gone into the cosmic stuff and the outer space stuff with Thanos and Captain Marvel, and bringing the science fiction aspect of what was really big, I guess, in the 60s for comic books. I mean, sci-fi there was a lot of sci-fi oriented stories where everything was cosmic rays and rays of some sort. There was a lot of outer space involved, and now that the Marvel universe has kind of moved out from the terrestrial kind of bad guys to more the extraterrestrial bad guys, bringing that aspect into Spider-Man would have worked right now and fit the tone that's going with the Marvel universe really, really well. But hey, that's that. Nimrod. Such an odd name. Firefly just belting off the X-Men bad guy.
Though, what was it? Nimrod, I think we had this discussion before. Nimrod used to mean something else, and it kind of morphed into...
It used to be a name of there's like a warrior Nimrod, wasn't there?
Something like that, or like a mighty hunter who actually,
Yeah.
in mythology, was a fantastic, amazing hunter, and Bugs Bunny turned it into meaning you're just horrible.
Yeah. What was the because we had the Dark Phoenix trailer drop last week. I mean, it's really funny. Marvel releases their trailers where everybody can watch them. They do it first thing in the morning, and Fox decided to drop their trailer when everyone was sleeping.
Well, they got to screw up at least one last time.
And talk about being whelmed by a trailer.
Yeah, that was
Not underwhelmed, just meh, whatever. Yeah, it's there. No, but you know, I think it's more the fact that knowing that now that the Fox properties are under Marvel's thing, this is the last hurrah for them.
Speaking of which, it's kind of related. I know I'm kind of crossing over into a different topic, but
we do that. We're allowed.
James McAvoy, who plays Professor X,
Xavier.
plays Xavier, has stated that he wishes that if they do a Patrick Stewart, or when they do a Captain Picard show, that he wants to be in it if they do a young version of Picard.
I'm all for that.
I would be too. He plays a very good young Patrick Stewart.
Didn't we talk about this last week?
A little bit. We touched on it.
I wasn't here last week.
But
Wait, there were people here last week?
Shut up, you. You're never here.
You're not people.
You're not people. Wow, I wasn't going to go that far.
Well, he is the robot lord.
All right, well,
Exactly.
fair enough. He is a Gundam.
Now,
Anyway, we did kind of cover that a little bit, and I remembered something just now. McAvoy is actually really intimidated at the idea of like trying to portray as like Picard, because after what was the last one, Days of Future Past,
yeah,
where they actually did interviews and they talked to each other, McAvoy and Stewart, and they actually had to do impressions of each other. And Stewart asked, do an impression of me. It's like, well, I don't know. You got so much to pick from. What do you want me to do? And he goes, okay, well then do this one, space. The final, he goes, oh no, don't make me do that one. Don't make me do that one. It's like, I can't do that one justice.
He might have to.
Well, yeah, I mean, if he gets hired on to do that.
I think he does a good job. I've read other places where people find him to be like, he's horrible as Professor X. I think he does a really good job as a young Professor X.
I do too.
And I really, really, really like Fassbender as Magneto.
Yes, he's fantastic.
I like
Magneto.
McKellen. I really did like Ian McKellen's Magneto as well. But I think Fassbender does a really good job in that role.
Well, Fassbender had to do an impression for McKellen, and what he did was a Gandalf impression, and McKellen's like, "Ooh, that was really good."
Run, you fools! You shall not pass. So that movie's coming. That got pushed, didn't it? Didn't they push the X-Men film to next summer? It's supposed to be February, and they just pushed it to June or something, which is really odd. But I guess now it is possible, and there have been where the conspiracy and the aluminum foil hats come out, that they pushed it because of the Fox deal with Disney. That maybe, just maybe, Disney may, or Marvel and Disney may say, you know what, you guys are in the roles, people enjoy you in the roles, they identify you, and that maybe they're just going to start tying it in. And that's what they need to do, is go back and reshoot some stuff so they can tie it into the Marvel Universe. But that's the rumors and conspiracy people going, you know what, maybe. It may not be.
But
Maybe
aren't people making the same claim about this Deadpool 2 PG-13 thing, that's how they're going to introduce him to the MCU?
No, I think they're just trying to wring some more money out of that one, because...
No, but people are claiming
they are. Yes, they are. They really are. I actually think it's an ingenious financial thing for them to do, because if they can pull off a PG-13 version of Deadpool, where a younger audience can go see it without parents fearing the language or whatever else that goes on in it, because I mean, I'm having bought the director or the unrated or whatever it is cut that the super duper cut on Blu-ray, and yeah, they added. There's more nudity. There's more. I mean, the language is different. The violence is pushed a little higher. So yeah, if they cut that out, so there's the younger Marvel universe can go out and Marvel universe fans can go see it. The 13, 12, 13, 14-year-old boys can go knowing they're and that kind of stuff. Financially, that is ridiculously smart.
The problem is, what if that precludes any more R-rated Deadpool movies?
I don't think it will. I really don't think everybody's got it in their head that Disney is going to be like, oh, well, no, we can't do R-rated movies. Disney has released R-rated movies. Owning the Fox name, they can still release it through Fox. It doesn't have to be Disney presents Deadpool. It's still a Fox movie. They own Fox. They can use the name.
I'm saying if this PG-13 cut is super successful, you're going to have this thing of Disney's law will be like, well, why should we spend the money every time to make two versions of the movie when we can just do the PG-13 version of the movie and rake in the money?
Because anyone on the financial side is going to realize that Deadpool made money because they were able to push the envelope the way they did.
Yeah, Deadpool, you can have him in like maybe a small role in a Marvel film every once in a while.
And how funny would it be that if it isn't a PG-13 movie, that they beep him out?
Yep.
That would be freaking hilarious. That would be so much like the comics. It would literally be just like the comics where they use the symbols instead of what he said.
And then he looks at the camera like, "What? Did you just censor me?"
Yes, that kind of stuff.
I could see him doing that. Just look at the camera and say, "Did you just censor me?"
That would be perfect. And yeah, then let him have his rated R films. But if he is going to interact with the other MCU, you just use the beep.
And then he just look over and be like, "Oh, that's right. This is a PG-13. You know what? I'm sorry. I apologize.
Yeah,
I'll wince it down for you."
What movie? There was a Christian Slater movie. Was it Cuffs? That did that. It was a PG-13 film. You're allowed one F-bomb in a PG-13 movie. That's how you can. Those are the rules. You're allowed one. Now, Marvel has never used them in their films.
Got close.
They got close. I doubt they would. I really do think. I doubt that it would be used. But there was a scene in Cuffs where I guess Christian Slater goes off on some rant, and they beep him all the way up until the last F-bomb. And it's beep, 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 beep. And then the dude just turns to him and tells him that, and he's like, F you. And that was it. And it was like, that was hilarious. It was actually funnier than if he had just gone off on an F-bomb laced rant. And I think I could see that with Deadpool, where they use the beeps, and then you want to see Captain America lose his mind over language. That would be hilarious. And that's one thing Marvel does, is they inject humor very well into their film.
In the right places.
In the right places. Because, I mean, what was it? Captain America was... No, it was. It was Age of Ultron. The first word uttered in Age of Ultron was, shit. That was hilarious, because of the way that they followed with it. Language. But now what's really funny is, according to because I know everybody was expecting Venom to be rated R, but I'm guessing they were never shooting for the rated R.
Nope.
Which, again, Venom is a character you could probably pull off R. Real easy.
Yeah, but apparently they came out and said that they wanted to make it more accessible to kids and whatnot, which apparently leads to another problem. At one point, Venom has a gender swap? There's screen caps of it? Not sure what's going on there. So, yeah, there seems to be some confusion going on with this film.
Yeah, see, Firefly's thinking exactly what I'm thinking. Venom himself, they could probably pull off PG-13. You drop Carnage into that mix,
It has to be.
Oh,
it has to be
yeah.
rated R because the violence would be so over the top. It would be like Verhoeven. It would be a Verhoeven movie. Speaking completely, I'm going to derail sideways. If anybody's got Amazon Prime and has never seen the rated X cut of RoboCop, Amazon Prime has that cut as their offering for RoboCop, and the violence is dialed up to 11 in that film with that cut.
The unrated cut? I
Yes.
think I have that Blu-ray around here somewhere.
Oh,
Where-
did you see where Dayton Ward was posting about that, Adam?
No, actually, I watched it and I was like, holy crap, this is the uncut version. I watched it. I watched it on Prime. I was like, oh, check it out. This is unrated. It was awesome. And it was exactly as I remembered. That dude getting shredded in the beginning, where the Ed 209 just unleashes and chunks of that dude's body are flying off of him by the end of it. It is so graphically violent, and the headshot that Murphy gets is a little more there. I mean, it's just the violence is turned all the way up on it, which is why Verhoeven had to edit the film to get an R. But Amazon, I don't know if Amazon intended for that to be the cut that they were going to use, but that's the cut they're showing. So, and that's the kind of violence when you bring Carnage into the mix. That's the violence aspect I would expect from a Carnage film or a Carnage being in a movie. Almost the same with Wolverine. Wolverine wasn't a language aspect because I don't think Wolverine swears. Well, I haven't read a X-Men book in a while. I don't remember Wolverine swearing that much, but the violence aspect and the dude runs around with.
If he was a real person, though, he would swear.
Probably. Well, I don't know. He's Canadian.
Like the most violent Canadian ever.
True. But the violence aspect, and I mean, and what's really sad is I don't think Logan used that to their advantage. The violence in Logan, without the use of the language they used in Logan, probably could have pulled off a PG-13. Maybe. But definitely Carnage. I mean, Carnage gets, if they have to water Carnage down to get a PG-13, then it's not worth it. That's kind of almost how I feel about the Joker movie. The Joker from the 60s, or actually, yeah, the Joker, I guess the Joker from the 50s was the watered down version of the Joker where he didn't kill anybody, he wasn't the homicide maniac. But once we got into the late 60s, early 70s, and through the 70s, where they brought him back to his early days where he was very dark and sinister, killed people, kind of like Batman did. But the Joker, if you are going to portray him as someone who literally has gone psychopathic and has no respect for life in general, the way Joker does, where it's just everything's funny to him. Yeah, a rated R Joker film, I could see that. What was that book that I just read that I was in, where Joker had the dude in the house and he's like, I'm not going to kill you, I'm not going to kill you. And then he kills the dude. I was like, whoa, that was just dark. Joker's a dark character.
Just a little bit. He's not a nice guy.
Firefly, definitely the he just brought up that people don't understand that Joker and Harley do not have a healthy relationship.
Oh yeah, that is ugh.
Well, in the books, they have made it very clear that it was not a very healthy relationship. I mean, Harley Quinn has completely disavowed anything to do with the Joker, and every time she sees him, she wants to kill him. So the books have gotten it right. Where I mean, she realized that she was traumatized and that she was the victim of horrific violence and mental manipulation and stuff. So,
Point made here by our new watcher here. I'm just going to call him Brothel. Unless you have a better suggestion here. Said it'd be refreshing to have less PG-13, more PG and R. I can see why they go with the PG-13 though, just because that gets them the widest range.
It does.
PG, it becomes too kid-friendly, almost at that point.
And R scares people away. It really does.
So I can see why they go with PG-13, at least to make the most money that they can. And Sony hasn't done really well at that of late. So, but yeah, I mean, they should take into account the character that they're working with, and be like, okay, this one's very clearly should be an R, and we'll take that on the chin. For all we know, it'll do bonkers well, and we'll make the money anyway.
You know for a fact that if Venom had come out R, it probably would get a lot more money.
I'm wondering if that's the problem with Venom. Why people are saying it's like Catwoman and everything.
Oh, really? Are they comparing it to Catwoman? I didn't see that.
Yeah, I saw an article that mentioned that. And I noticed that in some of the trailers, the violence almost felt cartoony with the way he was Mr. Fantasticing himself and everything to hit people.
Yeah. Oh, man, if they're comparing it to Catwoman, that is not a good comparison.
Yeah, that's definitely not a good one, because
to be all in, I mean, you know how Catwoman is bad enough that if you put the Green Lantern movie up against Catwoman, Green Lantern looks like an Academy Award-winning film.
At least Green Lantern sticks to the source material. The Halle Berry Catwoman movie has nothing in common with the comic books.
Green Arrow didn't, or Green Lantern did not at all.
Yeah, it was
how he got his suit. Yes.
No, it sticks a lot more closely to the comic books than anything in Catwoman.
But here's the thing. The villain that they introduced, the first villain that he faces, wasn't a villain that wasn't introduced until the 2000s.
That's true. That, I mean, I will be the first. I mean, being a huge Green Lantern fan from when I was a little kid, the introduction or bringing Parallax into it that early was the dumbest move they could have made.
But technically, the first villain he faces is Hector Hammond, who is an old villain.
And they should have used just Hector Hammond then.
Well, and I have to say the best part of that entire movie was the end credit scene.
No,
and Sinestro gets the power ring. I think.
Yes. Oh, the end credit. Yes, that was that right there. And there were standouts in that film. Mark Strong as Sinestro was inspired casting.
Yep, that was a damn good casting.
He not only looked exactly like the comic book character, the way he portrayed Sinestro was perfect. Now, I don't think Ryan Reynolds did a bad job. It was just the film, the director. I don't think the director. I think he was out of his element.
I can see why. I thought when they cast him that fit the character. It's just there's so many letdowns in that movie.
There are a lot of letdowns in that film, and
honestly, the suit is one of the worst parts. He would have been better off in real spandex.
See, I didn't mind the suits. I didn't mind it at all. I didn't find them to be that distracting. But I mean, there's so many other flaws in the film that the suits is the least of my concern. But when it comes to Venom, we'll find out this weekend. I mean, this is where it's going to make or break when the fans start seeing it and everybody gets to see the film, and social media lights up with it. We'll find out.
Now, I know IO9, their reviewer liked Venom.
There were a few here and there that enjoyed it because of the humor elements and the buddy story elements to it. So again, it's mixed reviews right now. It's not getting critically panned completely, but it's the fans that are actually when people start, whether or not people go back for repeat viewings and that kind of stuff. That's where where we'll see, when we're gonna find out. And like I said, I might be pleasantly surprised. But again,
let's see. Forbes calls Venom a gleefully stupid mix of Catwoman and the Mask.
Wow.
Some site called We Got This Covered says first Venom reactions call it a complete failure, as bad as Catwoman, and Geek Tyrant has a similar headline.
Woof. And then there's DC, who's still just spinning their tires. We'll see. We got 3 more films coming out in the next year from DC. We got Aquaman, Shazam, and Wonder Woman 84. So, and I'm right there with Kevin Smith that they need to be making more Superman movies. They really do. Superman there's Batman might be the most popular. Superman is the character that everybody runs from
He's
or
their
runs
bread
off
and
of.
butter.
He's the bread and butter. Superman is the. In all honesty, Superman done right is exactly what he's a breath of fresh air in all the other dark and dismal stuff that's going on.
The problem is the DC movies have not managed to do something that Marvel has, and they haven't had an Ant-Man or Guardians type success. A B or C list character that is just in a fun, enjoyable movie.
That's where Shazam is going to come into play.
Exactly.
If they pull it off, I understand Shazam is supposed to be corny, but oh my god, in the trailers, it's like ridiculously so at times.
He's supposed to be.
I
His
just
character's
said
always been
that.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He is
And
the big
that's-
Richie, and that's when I saw the trailer, because I was afraid they were going to try to dark it down like they did Superman a little bit, and they were going to. And when I saw that they embraced the ridiculousness of the character, I was like, "Oh my god, this is great!" He really is a little kid in a man's body.
Shazam does build up to getting fairly dark at times.
I just really can't wait for him and Black Adam to go at it.
Some of the more modern Shazam stuff is really dark.
Well, yeah, as the character grew, but this is an origin story, and the origin of him.
The origin, the Shazam stuff is insane. The Shazam family and all that.
Now, Aquaman still has me. I mean, fingers are crossed for Aquaman, but there's that side of me that's going, oh, please, please, please don't be another Green Lantern. Please don't be another Green Lantern.
Yeah,
But-
I'm overly hyped for it, and
Yeah.
I've gotta pull back a little bit, like, because every time I watch the trailer of Aquaman, I'm like, nope, pull back. Just think of Green Lantern.
Yeah.
Think of Green Lantern.
I don't want to
want
walk
that
in
to
there.
succeed.
Here we go. This is a good segue. I don't want to walk in there like Star Wars fans were expecting the Super Skywalker and didn't get it. I don't want that aspect for it. What happened to Wolfie?
I don't know.
I hit the wrong button.
Oh, okay.
I'm so sick of that Super Skywalker crap. I mean, people forget that in the first part of A New Hope, he's a whiny little bitch. It's perfectly possible for him to grow up to be a disenchanted asshole.
Yes.
Well, that actually leads into kind of the next thing here.
Yes.
Apparently, there was a study on the Last Jedi's Twitter haters, and they've apparently found that many were bots or bad faith political trolls. So they would lambast it just so they could then segue to, ripping on this, that, and whatnot. And apparently a lot of those were, I guess, from the right, as it were. And there was quite a few of them found to have been Russian, or at least as best they can tell. Now they come out and say they can't conclusively prove that this is the case, but they said using sentiment analysis to sort the tweets as positive, negative, or neutral, and then analyzing the accounts themselves, they found that 50.9% of those tweeting negatively were likely politically motivated or not even human. So a little over half of all of the negativity about the film were politically motivated or fake.
But the problem that report has now done is the trolls who really were out there, the people. I'm calling them trolls because it's the Not My Star Wars group. Because the EU, it's most of what I've seen is a lot of people who are EU fans and felt from the get-go with The Force Awakens that their fandom, they felt disenfranchised because what they had envisioned and they had in their heads of what Star Wars should be was not there anymore. And then we got The Last Jedi, which was a experiment in
It was an experiment in yanking the rug out from under people.
It really was. It really was a yanking of the rug, but it wasn't. Now, did it have its flaws? Yes, the Last Jedi has a huge flaw in its second act, which is the Raiders of the Lost Ark aspect of the Rose and Finn story. They didn't need that. It wasn't necessary. It didn't go anywhere. It did not further the story whatsoever.
Canto Bite is not a good sequence.
No, and none of it. But the whole from the get-go, sending Rose and Finn out to do what they did absolutely nothing except for put Rose and Finn on the ship so Finn could fight Phasma.
Well, what's funny is all these people that bitch about The Last Jedi and how it strayed from Star Wars ignore the fact that it actually honors one of the greatest traditions of The Empire Strikes Back, and that's the really weird passage of time in the Star Wars universe.
Yes. Which is apparent all the way throughout Star Wars universe. When you think about the aging of Obi-Wan, when you think about...
But it's really obvious in Empire and Last Jedi because Luke and Rey get in, all this training and stuff in what's supposed to be an extremely limited time period. I mean, heck, in Last Jedi, they literally say it's like 18 hours or something that they have to get there and back.
Yes.
Well, I hate to get all sciencey.
I know time dilation and all that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's completely understood. But Wolfie and I on Facebook were in a conversation with a man who was poo-pooing the film, and when brought to his attention that The Empire Strikes Back in 1980, even StarWars.com has an article about this, that The Empire Strikes Back was not accepted right away. A lot of people felt that it was the wrong turn for Star Wars. Critics really didn't. There was a critic out there who hated that film, and there are multiple videos of him online on YouTube where he was on different TV shows completely destroying that film. And it was like, while The Last Jedi, the critics seemed to enjoy it, while the fans did not. But a lot of it was because the fans did not get Skywalker as this knight in shining armor coming in to save the day, and what they got was a man who had been kicked and fell. But Wolfie's right. Look at the character from the get-go, from the beginning. He had this thrown on him as a kid.
He fell hard into the Force, so it is just as conceivable he could fall hard out of the Force.
Especially, because he was the only one. Everyone else there were no other Jedi. He was the only one who he took it, and he even said it. He sat there in his conversation with Rey and said, "I took it upon myself, thinking and he fell for his own hype. He fell for it."
I just think it's funny. It's really obvious J.K. Rowling is a huge Star Wars fan.
Well, yeah.
Because
who isn't?
But it's really obvious because I learned more about Luke Skywalker learning about Harry Potter than I did watching the movies, because until it was laid out in the books that Harry was supposed to just be a weapon, I didn't notice it about Luke. But them saying it about Harry makes it extremely obvious about Luke.
Yeah.
Well, you also got some hindsight involved there, because with, she started writing that in the 90s, right?
Yes.
So you had the three Star Wars films came out. Lucas didn't really have it down like that. None of that kind of planning. There was a lot of back and forth changing and whatnot. Whereas Rowling could have been looking at it and come to the conclusion much faster. And so this is what I'm going to do with Harry. And in the case of Luke, that's probably not where Lucas was going with that.
Well, see, but it becomes even more obvious when Yoda and Obi-Wan start talking about there is another. They're not talking about, a long-term savior. They're talking about another weapon.
And fans of Star Wars who watch the others, not just the films, like TV shows, delve into this even more. When Rebels finally, I had the theory that Luke was the chosen one. It was not Anakin, because Anakin did not do what was supposed to happen with the chosen one. Anakin did the exact opposite. Anakin set, I mean, it's like when Obi-Wan yelled at him, he goes, "You were supposed to bring balance, not chaos." And
But
Vader
Well,
brought
he did.
chaos.
he
But
did
he also
bring
did.
he did bring balance.
That's actually the official line. He did bring balance. He was the chosen one. It just didn't happen on the timeline that they, the Jedi expected it, apparently.
Or in the way they expected it.
But if it wasn't for Luke, the balance would never have happened.
Well, the funny thing is actually the Vader does bring balance if you
Yes, he
only
does.
well no if you only look at 4, 5, and 6 and none of the later stuff that he's even now canon, the books and everything. In those 3 movies, there's the Emperor and Vader and Yoda and Obi-Wan. And those are the Force users when that series starts.
Yes.
So the Force is balanced.
And then Yoda dies.
Obi-Wan dies.
And Obi-Wan's dead. So there's an imbalance. And then the Emperor gets thrown overboard and Vader dies.
So there's only one Force user, which would lead to believe that there is another. There has to be, to balance it out. You need good and you need light and dark to balance it out. That's where Snoke plays in. But then again, being now that the new expanded stuff, which would be Rebels and Resistance and Clone Wars,
Or even
have
just
delved-
the existence of Snoke.
yes, that they've gone into it, that the Jedi and the Sith are not the be all and end all of the Force, that there are other aspects to it.
Which should point
There's
out
the Bendu.
which should point out it's never been that way, even in the EU. Matter of fact, I can distinctly recall Luke going around with his son, saying there are other schools of thought on the matter. We're not the only ones. We don't have a monopoly on this.
True.
Well,
And
even by the time of Cade Skywalker, you don't just have the Sith and the Jedi. You've also got the Imperial Knights.
true. But but in The Last Jedi, Luke even says it. Luke has realized this. That was his realization when he was just like, when he was like, the realization is we're not the be all and end all of this. And that's what he was trying to get across to Rey, that it isn't so simple. It's not just they're good guys, we're bad guys. It's bigger. There's a bigger picture.
Yeah, because you create more problems than you solve by being absolutes like that.
Yes.
And see, that's what I always found funny about when they say only Sith deal in absolutes, but Jedi deal in absolutes all the time.
Which is what was their downfall. And Luke said that too. He goes, it was their own hubris that was their downfall. They thought they were the pinnacle of it, and they weren't. And they allowed Sidious to become to power right under their noses. They didn't even see it.
It's not really allowing them, though. I mean, that argument I think is a little specious. It's like they allowed it. How do you allow it if you don't know it's there?
Well, I just
By
think
not,
it's,
by
I'm not
Not
saying they don't have
ignoring
hubris.
I just think it's funny that this supposed order of super wise people just accepts this clone army at face value and doesn't think twice about it.
Oh yeah, that was kind of like, yeah, whatever, okay, sure, no question about it. We have to deal with the problem now, and we're going to take command. Yeah, that one should have been like, all the Jedi that survived should have been like, what? Where did you guys come from, and why do you think we're in charge?
yeah, it is.
There should have been the council itself should have been like, hold up.
Even if they thought that one particular Jedi did legitimately commission the Jedi, the clone army, shouldn't they have been like, well, why the hell did he think we'd need a clone army?
Well, we all know that it wasn't really him, though. It wasn't
I know,
Sifo-Dyas.
I know that, but they should have been questioning it because Sifo-Dyas, wasn't he a member of the council at the time?
He did it secretly.
Yes.
But that's the whole point. Jedi aren't supposed to do that.
Jedi aren't supposed to do a lot of things, and they did anyway.
But that's where I think that Luke's line hits home, is that because they really saw themselves as above it all, that the stuff was allowed to happen right there, and they just kind of like, okay. that was where the hubris falls into play. It's like, well, okay, we'll take this at face value. We're not going to delve deeper into it because we're Jedi and we would sense it if something was wrong, and if we would do this if something was wrong. No, you guys aren't the be all and end all, and that's why Sidious was able to do what he did, is because he knew they were dumb enough to think that way. The plan is ingenious. Sidious's plan, Palpatine's plan, was ingenious.
What's up with the major dropped plot point from episode 1 about their powers fading?
It really wasn't dropped. They just didn't dig into it because it was kind of explained in some of the books, which are kind of not considered canon now. I'm not sure in that particular respect. But basically, it was with Plagueis basically threw off the balance, he and Sidious together, and that led to the Shroud of the Dark Side falling. And I think that's what they're referencing. It's like, our powers are diminishing, aka the Shroud of the Dark Side's falling over us.
True.
And, that was referenced.
No, but getting back to the whole thing of people being upset with Last Jedi, what's funny is all these people that feel that they're upset with Last Jedi is legit are digging their heels in, like, to try and ignore and discount the study completely. And they're not understanding that we're not telling them they're not allowed to be upset with The Last Jedi. Just realize that there's not necessarily this groundswell of support under them that they think there is.
AKA, you've been played.
And I understand. I can understand people's not liking the film. I understand it completely because there are parts of the movie I don't like. I don't like Poe Dameron in that film. I don't like the aspect that she just didn't tell Poe this plan. I think that was ridiculous.
Well, why the hell wasn't that the plan from the beginning, even before Leia got hurt?
For all we know, it was.
But they could have done it literally as soon as they left the planet. They could have sent a ship to do that.
I mean, there were little tiny things like.
Well, we got to keep in mind too when you're talking a military leadership. Wolfie, did your leadership ever tell you all their plans?
I was air defense. My leadership didn't have plans.
Point still stands. Leaders don't have to, tell you anything. You are the lower ranking guys.
Soldiers,
and there's a reason. Well, no. There's a reason why you don't tell them that, because if you say we're going to abandon the ship, morale is going to plummet, and you're going to have a serious discipline issue.
That's not the part I'm talking about. They lost all those little ships when instead they should have had one or two of those little ships turn and do the hyperspace jump and destroy the fleet.
Except that was a desperate move. There was desperation.
Yes. But if it's that effective, it shouldn't be a desperation move. It should be tactic.
I don't think they knew.
They didn't know it was going to be effective.
Honestly, I don't think she knew it was going to be as effective as it was.
She's like, I'm going to do something to take their attention away from them and save what I can.
Yes. I'm not arguing the OPSEC stuff. I understand all that.
Now,
well, the tactic is not a valid tactic because, for all you know, you might miss.
Yeah, there are, again, I can understand the nitpicks. Poe Dameron in the beginning of the film, when Leia tells him, "Okay, it's time to pull back. We got our objective. Get back here," and Poe says no, and then all of a sudden there's this entire bombing run that goes on. Why would that even be in play if the plan was only to get away from the fleet? If Poe was only there to do that, not attack the dreadnought, what was all that about, and why was Leia not in on that plan?
Leia probably was. For all we know, the bombers were set up in case the initial thing failed.
Yeah, my guess is the bombers were there in case they had to try to punch a hole to escape.
True. Let's
not even get into the whole aspect of why the hell there are bombers like that in a space battle.
True.
They were magnetic.
Well, no, I get that. I've made that same argument, but it still just doesn't make a lot of sense. But then again,
it makes no sense.
But then again, Wrath of Khan a lot of Wrath of Khan doesn't make sense in terms of a space battle, yet that's still one of the best space movies of all time.
The aspect of the bombers, when we already have established that in the Star Wars universe there are bombers that are more agile, maneuverable, just as I mean, we've got the Y-wing fighter. The Y-wing fighter was a bomber.
Where's the B-wings?
Yeah, that kind of stuff. Where the B-wings? Where are those? Where and all of a sudden you introduce this heavy bomber that moves at a snail's pace, making it a target way easy. I mean, it's like, we'll protect those bombers. Why do those bombers not move faster? Why do those bombers move at a crawl? I mean, that kind of stuff. Yes, it's like, ugh. But
why don't they have voice command to drop the bombs?
Yeah,
or drones.
That kind of stuff. The story of the Dreadnought. This is where it gets confusing because unless you play Star Wars Battlefront 2, you don't realize that the Dreadnought being at that battle is set up in Battlefront 2. In the story mode of Battlefront 2, those plans for the Dreadnought and how to attack it and how to take it down, that is a main part of the end of that story. Where get these plans to the fleet, they're going to need them, that this is coming.
And aren't there supposed to be multiple Dreadnoughts?
Yes.
Yeah, the fleet is not just wrapped up with one Dreadnought and one Supremacy. There's one Supremacy, but there's multiple Dreadnoughts.
The Dreadnoughts are more like, and see, that was what Leia was bitching about, is all that just for one Dreadnought.
And it's too expensive for them. They can't afford those kind of losses, whereas the First Order can.
True. But I mean, there are issues with it. But Empire Strikes Back has the issues too.
But my thing with The Last Jedi is part of the reason I noticed the issue so much is because I do like the movie. If I didn't like the movie, I would just dismiss it out of hand. I wouldn't sit there and analyze it. It just wouldn't be worth it to me.
Oh, we got Firefly here pointing out the Raddus had the same flaw as Leia found out the hard way. And he also had another nit to pick. With all the prior evidence, how come First Order capital ships have lousy point defense systems? Because they're pulling from the Empire's playbook.
They're making the same mistakes as the Empire, ironically, on an even bigger scale in terms of ships and weapons.
Quantity over quality.
Here we go. I can do this to the Empire Strikes Back too.
Firefly is probably a moisture problem, not actually a cold problem on Hoth.
For what?
Empire Strike Back nit. You'd think that strike craft rated for space operations would have no problem with the cold on Hoth.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's an icing issue.
They say cold, but I think it's more cold combined with the presence of moisture. And the fact that the ships themselves produce heat, so the moisture has a chance to get into things.
And freeze and make it horrible. But here we go. The Walker battle in The Empire Strikes Back. Why were the Walkers so far away?
Because they had to land outside the radius of the shield.
How did the Walkers get through the shield in the first place?
The shield is permeable to slow-moving things, aka Episode 1.
Okay.
Actually, we never see the Walkers get through the shield.
Well, you can assume that they did.
We see them blow up the shield generator.
Yes,
from a fair distance at that.
For the love of God, Wolfie! Stop interrupting! We can assume that the reason why we didn't see it is because the technology at the time when they made the film just didn't exist to make that kind of...
Yeah, that effect. It's just...
Had they had the ability to do so like they did in Episode 1, we probably would have seen it.
True. I understand they had to set them down at a distance and that kind of stuff. There are that whole battle. I mean, you could. It's just silly. It's visually awesome. They got the big walking mechanical camels and all that kind of stuff.
Look, robot camels.
Robot camel. Well, and there's the time issue.
The weirdest thing about the Walker battle, though, for me, is why didn't the Empire have strike craft capable of flying in atmosphere to defend the Walkers?
Because they would have been going too fast and would have smashed into the shield.
Mhm. That has been established in Star Wars, that shields, you can't get through the shield. Well, no, not true. Well, no, because
Quite true.
The Death Star didn't have an actual shield. They had a magnetic field.
Yeah, that's a different thing.
That's a different thing. Had the Empire, had the Death Star had shields,
They've been splattered. Oh, we
they
won.
would have been yeah, done. They had a shield in Return of the Jedi that they had to take down before the ships could get through. Kind of like Scarif had a shield that they had to open to get.
You know, they just went about it all wrong. Instead of trying to fly ships through or whatever, all they had to do was get near the shield, eject from it, or just, use thrusters and just slowly creep through it. They've been fine.
Yep. Kind of
course,
things like
it's
that.
a little hard to stop when you're moving that fast.
And here we go. Here's one for you. One of the other nitpicks of The Last Jedi is that Rey is able to best Luke on Octu when she attacks him because of the "Did you create Kylo Ren?" that thing. First, she takes Luke off guard. Luke is disconnected from the Force, so he does not have that foresight.
Oh, no, he was reconnected by that point. He was just really out of practice.
Okay. Then there's
then he actually was winning up to the point that she drew the lightsaber.
Yeah, that's true. When she drew the saber and had the saber, he fell back and tripped and almost smashed his head and all that. Whatever. There's the complaint. Yeah, there's the complaint of the Force Awakens and The Last Jedi that Rey is an untrained lightsaber user and yet is able to do all these things. First, Rey is nowhere near as untrained with a weapon as Luke Skywalker was.
True.
Rey grew up on Jakku, carried that staff for protection. I'm sure had to use it more than once, so she knew how to swing a weapon. She knew how to use a weapon.
We saw her use it.
Yes, she knew how to use it and how to defend herself and attack with this. So there's that. Luke Skywalker in The Empire Strikes Back had no lightsaber training that we saw, that we knew, and goes and takes on a Sith Lord and holds his own until the end.
Well, he had at least had enough training under Yoda to get somewhere, and he'd been practicing prior to that between A New Hope and Empire.
Now we get to see that kind of stuff. But again, he was untrained. There was no way that a master swordsman, that Anakin Skywalker was, versus a novice with a lightsaber, that fight should have lasted a couple of seconds. But Luke was able to hold his own.
Well, again, he had a natural talent, and he was trained under Yoda for we don't know how long. That's always been up in the air, just kind of like it is here. So yeah, there's no reason to think that he wouldn't have actually improved, because I remember reading from the novelization that Yoda frequently would throw out like a bar, and Luke had to cut it. And
yes,
he was informed. It's like, if you were truly fully trained, you'd be able to cut that in 7 sections, not just one or miss.
I think they actually shot that. That wasn't just in the book. I think those were scenes that were cut. Because I remember seeing photographs of Luke standing there with his saber. And it was still like behind the scenes shot where Luke was there with his lightsaber. It was not, there were no effects added to it, and there was the bar on the ground in 2 or 3 pieces.
Yeah, which honestly, if they'd left that in, that would have explained why he was able to hold his own.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. But I mean, the whole Rey being able to use the lightsaber and being as strong in the Force as she is, again, and Luke Skywalker was able to do the same stuff. He really was. Well, except while Luke embraced it and wanted more, Rey is unsure, not sure she even wants this kind of thing, and is using it instinctively and impulsively more than Luke, which is why she's drawn to the dark, why she gets angry when she fights.
Well, isn't there a fan theory that part of it is, since there's less Force users, there's more Force capable of being used?
That's not how it works.
I said fan theory.
Yes, I think there's a fan theory, but like Han Solo said, that's not how the Force works. We'll use the Force. So many trolls. I love the aspect that the argument that Wolfie got in. The dude simply, I saw that and they were cherry picking. They weren't cherry picking.
They picked very prominent reviews
yes,
that did not like the movie.
And it's true. The Empire Strikes Back now is arguably, I know Wolfie doesn't believe it, the best of any of the Star Wars films.
I've never said I don't believe
Not Wolfie,
that.
I mean Tank. Tank has said it. Tank has said it. Tank likes Return of the Jedi more.
But that's just a personal preference. I feel that I enjoy, Return of the Jedi more than I do Empire. As an adult, I can see the appeal, but again, as a kid, it was Return of the Jedi was my favorite.
I always liked Empire better,
Return of
but-
the Jedi was my favorite as a kid, but as I've gotten older, I definitely my appreciation for Empire is grown immensely, while Jedi has shrunk in my eyes.
Yeah, I still hold Jedi above Empire, just because it's got that little place in my heart.
True. And I understand the nostalgia factor. But being now that we're, how many years from the prequel trilogy at this point? We are 13 years from Revenge of the Sith, right? That was 2005?
I hate to say this, but my favorite one's Attack of the Clones.
You just get out now.
I just like that one. That's my favorite one.
How old are you, Trash Panda?
30.
Well,
The premise of Attack of the Clones is good.
I would say if you ignore the bad dialogue, cut out all of those interactions and just go with the action itself, it's definitely enjoyable.
Yeah.
And if you ignore the stupid decision to let Hayden Christensen be in the suit in the last scene,
I don't let when I say Attack of the Clones, I don't mean anything having to do with Anakin Skywalker at all. Everything
the political stuff,
Skywalker, yes, was great, and I loved it. I love the design of the clones. I love the design of the droids that during that movie. For some reason I love the designs. The designs is what drew me in that movie. And I love the strange, finding a plot that the Jedi has created a clone army against the Jedi Order. Just stuff like that. I really enjoyed that. I like that a lot better than just, we're Jedi, we're just going to sit on our ass until the Sith kill us.
That's true.
The only thing in Attack of the Clones that still throws me, and I will agree with Badger on if you negate all the ridiculous love story that they tried to force into that film, which it really was forced because Lucas can't write romance to save his life. The political winding that goes through there and watching the plan that Palpatine set in place just fall into, literally it was like it fell perfectly for him, and the way he manipulated everyone around him was so perfect, and it worked so well. And there are aspects of it, especially that last battle scene, that worked so well. And then at the end, where you see Palpatine standing there looking over his grand army and watching, literally with that grin on his face of it's like everything is coming as I have foreseen, that kind of thing. And then watching the other Senate members like Bail Organa and just kind of like shake his head like, where are we going? What's happening? That kind of stuff is really good.
I have to apologize. I mixed up Attack of the Clones with Revenge of the Sith for a second.
Yeah, I noticed. Just let it go.
That's fine. And you know what? Revenge of the Sith, in my eyes, is still the strongest of all the prequels.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
And I really hope that the next Star Wars film, and I'm loving some of the really outrageous rumors that are flying around out there, that we will see a force battle between Luke and Vader. Why? Vader doesn't exist. Anakin was redeemed. There is a rumor out there floating around recently that while Rey and Kylo are fighting, Luke as a Force ghost is fighting Vader as a Force ghost.
But why?
Exactly. Now,
spoiler alert: Darth Vader's Anakin Skywalker.
Yeah,
I thought he killed Dumbledore.
I know people have complained about Yoda's use of the Force as a Force ghost, where he calls the lightning down and lights the tree on fire. When they set it up throughout the prequels that Qui-Gon was right all along, that the Force is a living entity thing. There's a living Force, and then there's the other. He believed a certain way. while he was unable to manifest as a Force ghost because he just didn't delve into it deep enough, where he trained Yoda and Obi-Wan to be able to do that, to where they got to the point where they could. You have to remember that Obi-Wan said, if you choose to face Vader, I can't help. I don't know whether it was he was incapable of helping him or he just wasn't going to. That Luke had to face this trial on his own.
The way I always took it was that he was not capable of it. It's just
Yeah, me too.
Because I imagine just the turbulence, as it were, around the two of them would make it so that he couldn't manifest or do anything.
Well, then there's the aspect of, okay, so he couldn't help him then. Now you go further down the line, Yoda, who was a Jedi Master longer than Obi-Wan, might have been able to delve deeper into it and realize that once you cross the barrier from the corporeal to the non-corporeal, that you can still manipulate the Force. So when we get to the point of The Last Jedi, why would he not have those powers? And I really think it would be awesome to see Luke as a Force ghost taking that a step further. Because why would the Force ghost not be able to? Well, if they are one with the Force, why would they not be able to manipulate it?
Well, the thing is also, Yoda didn't do anything like solid. He brought energy down to strike a tree. Like,
Yep.
That seems like it would be a fairly simple thing to do.
And it's probably limited anyway.
Well, and the other thing is, let's put it this way. Luke's force projection was solid. So Yoda, being one with the Force, can probably, if he really wants to, actually use the Force to pick things up and it look like he's touching them and stuff. Because Yoda is a projection of the Force.
Well, he was solid insofar as that he was able to touch Leia and he made the dice solid. That's about it.
Didn't he and did he? No, he and Kylo
They
never
never
actually
touched.
struck lightsabers, did
Nope,
they?
not until Kylo tried to slice him in half, and that was why it was a clue, a very noticeable clue, when you saw them focus on Luke's feet and the sand or the salt did not move,
and that Luke never defended himself; he just evaded. It was like, okay, why is he not fighting back? But I've told you my headcanon that Luke Skywalker didn't die. That Octo, his version of him on Octo and or Octu, whatever it is, that Rey interacted with was also a projection.
That's a lot of projection.
That's a lot of projection, but it also
he's just protecting himself.
It would also show that Luke is a very powerful Jedi, but when I've told other people, it's like, why would Luke's arm disappear or his hand? Why would his hand not fall to the ground if he disappeared? Because his corporeal body would disappear, yet the mechanical hand would not.
Except his robes vanish with him.
Because not enough people are analyzing the script.
That's true. But, I know I'm not right. I know he is going to be a Force ghost in the next film, and that's neither here nor there. Where they go with it will be very interesting. I would love to see where JJ is going to try and tie this all together. Because I am one of those weird fans that really, I can go back and watch the prequels and find things in them I really enjoy. To me, they're still Star Wars. When I first saw them, yes, did I have that knee-jerk reaction of, oh, because of the nostalgia thing? But now, 20 years later, I can go back and go, you know what? These work. It all does tie. The story flows. It works.
If you remove Jar Jar, Phantom Menace is so much better.
Yes.
Like the fight between the Gungans and the battle droids.
You can't.
If you cut the Jar Jar crap, is pretty cool.
And there are fan edits out there that do that, and yes, that movie flows so much better.
You can't remove Darth Jar Jar.
Well, you know what? Had Jar Jar been left not as ridiculous, I understand the reasonings why Lucas put him in the first film. I'm glad that they pulled him back to a very minor character in the second film, and they used, it is Jar Jar's fault that the Empire rose. Jar Jar was the one that, Palpatine knew.
All he had to do was listen to Amidala and not vote for the
Yes.
stupid thing.
But
He is
Palpatine
Darth Jar
knew.
Jar.
Palpatine knew. He goes, all I gotta do is manipulate this moron, and that's it. And it was perfect.
No, because he's just like, but who would have the courage to bring that to the Senate?
Yeah.
And Jar Jar's, he wants to be a hero. He has been courageous. He's just been a bumbling disappointment at fighting. And then we got Firefly commenting here about the comment about the political machinations. That is the reason why I think that having episodes 7, 8, and 9 dealing with the Alliance trying to transition into the New Republic and all the work that entails would have been really interesting.
True.
Yeah, I could have seen that had been an interesting way to take that. It would have been a rocky time.
That's where the books that fall into those, the Princess Leia books, do a really good job of showing how rocky it really is. And I cannot highly recommend those books any more than I already do.
Well, Aftermath was not so good.
No, not Aftermath. The Leia books that deal with the political side of it. You're very so.
Technically, there's only 2. I mean, there was
They
one
do
that
a
was
good
before
job,
that.
yes.
Now, one of the things that bugs me about Force Awakens and the whole destruction of the Republic capital and everything to this day is their fleet should have still been available because their fleet should have been spread out patrolling their territory.
Well, we don't know what all was available. They just said that the majority of the fleet was at Hosnian.
But why? That doesn't make any sense.
There was and they covered this in the books. There was a bill that was passed to actually demobilize, and they had to draw down. So they didn't have as much of a fleet as they used to. It was still more, quote unquote, more powerful than what the First Order had, or at least what they believed. But it's like, we're peaceful. We don't need a huge fleet. We just need enough to protect, the major trade routes and the capital world.
And you have to remember that, unlike Leia, many of the New Republic did not see the First Order as a threat.
Now, had Leia actually become the Chancellor or something, that may have changed, but that she got hosed on there. In a very modern world political, quote-unquote, scandal.
Yeah, because it was revealed that she was Darth Vader's daughter that killed her credibility in the Senate. She had to step down, did she not?
Yeah, she did. Because, she actually has integrity.
Yeah.
Anyway, I do feel that at least in the books, the current books, it's kind of weird that she never actually came out ahead of time. Because as I recall, she actually did in the EU.
She did. She was Lady Vader.
Yeah, because she came out and she said, it's like, well, I mean, Luke is the son of Vader, and I am actually, the sister. So, yeah. And it didn't have near as much an effect in that. Probably because she actually got to control the narrative, which makes sense. Whereas in this case, she was, blindsided by a political opportunist.
I could just see them calling Luke Skywalker, hey, yeah, we just found out Vader's your dad. We're going to take that medal back. Yeah, we're sorry. We're sorry.
Actually, we're not taking it back. Give it to Chewie.
He needs to.
Yeah, and Firefly's right. Having a Nogri in her corner helped.
Which I'm not sure how they're doing that now, because I've got Thrawn alliances.
Oh.
And, yeah.
I haven't read it yet.
Let's just, in the EU, Vader was the one who actually brought the Nogri to work for the Empire. That doesn't seem to be the case here, or maybe it is. I'm just not sure.
Well, in Rebels, you see Rook, and he's working directly for Thrawn. But he's not actually working as Thrawn's bodyguard. He's working as Thrawn's field agent.
Which, I mean, we're still getting the Nogri bit of the sense. It's a little odd. I don't know. They're at least keeping some aspects of him, of that species the same. But I do miss the, the classic feel of those guys. They were scary guys.
The going back to the fan backlash and this patting on the back of, well, look what we did to Solo, and we destroyed Solo, and blah blah blah, and all that kind of stuff. And I don't think it's the same thing, because it goes. I mean, and both Star Trek and Star Wars have this problem right now when it comes to fandom, where they think that, oh well, you know what? If we tell them we're not going to watch it and we're not going to pay for it, then they have to change it. That's not
What's
how
funny
this
is
works.
I don't think they destroyed Solo. I think Disney miscalculated
Yes.
on how popular Solo was going to be, which is a distinct difference.
Well, that, or because of the trolling that it took place and did not stop, I think. Well, actually, we know the trolling didn't stop from, The Last Jedi into Solo. How much of it was actually brought on by, again, political bots or
True.
trolls, sock puppets, etc. That just ramped it up even further, and it actually, harmed the proceeds that Solo got.
Oh, there's actually major news related to all this that we forgot to mention, I think.
Eh?
Kathleen Kennedy extended her Lucasfilm deal.
Yes, there was an outcry on.
Because all these people were like, "Oh, she's getting ready to get fired."
And then they're like, "Nope,
she's making billions of dollars. She's not going anywhere."
Yeah, and while Solo, I think Tank's right. I think it's a combination of both. That there was that fan backlash, and a lot of people read the backlash wrong. Then there was the miscalculation of I think they released it too early. They should have.
Solo is going to grow in opinion over the next few years. It's never going to be considered this amazing, great movie, but it's not this crap fest some people want to claim it is.
And it's a fun little diversion. It fits into Star Wars. It does. And having watched it a couple of times now that I own it on Blu-ray and stuff, you know what? He doesn't do. I mean, I really enjoyed him as Han Solo. I really did. Did the movie was it like it's nowhere near as good as Rogue One. Rogue One not only fit perfectly in the Star Wars saga, but there was a reason for it. Whereas Solo, there's no real reason except for, you know what? Let's see what Han Solo did when he was a kid.
The biggest problem with his performance as Solo is that it just pales so much in comparison to Donald Glover as Lando.
True. Glover's Lando was the standout. But that's neither here nor there. I mean, I enjoyed it. I own the film. I posted that on Facebook. If someone had told me 30 years ago, as a kid back in 1983, after Return of the Jedi had ended and it was over, and that was it, there was not going to be any more Star Wars, that I'd be sitting here with my kids and opening my drawer full of Blu-rays, and I'd have hundreds of hours of Star Wars to watch, I would have called you nuts.
Speaking of the Blu-ray DVD, I've noticed this both for Infinity War and for Solo. They aren't selling the Blu-ray DVD digital copy combo anymore. They are split up. If you want all of them if you want it all together, you've got to get the 4K one. Otherwise, it's Blu-ray or DVD.
Really?
Yeah.
Yep. This DVD is going by the wayside.
But the digital copy isn't being sold with the Blu-ray either?
Nope.
Well, that sucks.
Did you just buy the Blu-ray or you buy the 4K one?
I have a 4K, so I bought 4K.
Yeah, I haven't bought the Blu-ray. I've got the DVD. But it's like I always like getting the two because right now I have a DVD player. I don't have a Blu-ray player. And it was a value to buy it with all three. Not that you get the digital copy anyway, if you don't actually, redeem the coupon or whatever, the code. But still, it was a good deal. You got the Blu-ray, you got the DVD. Whereas now it's separated out. You get the 4K thing, which is almost $30 or is $30. You get the Blu-ray, which is not too far from $30, or you get the DVD, which is like $25. And no digital copy except with the 4K version, I think.
No, you can go to Best Buy. Best Buy, well, that's just it. If you don't have a Blu-ray player, well, and honestly, it's because DVD is dead. It's dead. It's almost as dead as VHS, but it's dying.
Sure, and I just don't want to go buy the stupid thing.
You can get a Blu-ray player for like $35.
What a good one! Actually, what I'd really like to do, again, value here is get like a PlayStation 4 or an Xbox or something.
There you go.
Because then I can play games and watch movies.
Exactly. Because you can get Star Wars right now at Best Buy. I just pulled it up. The Blu-ray plus the digital code is $22.99.
What I find is funny is my brother-in-law is managing a thrift store, and there's some guy that every few weeks brings him a stack of unwatched Blu-rays because he literally buys them just to get the digital codes. And I want to meet the guy and be like, go on Amazon or someplace and just buy the digital copy.
Yeah. Save yourself some money because they're only like $14. Why spend the $30 to just throw it away and just for the digital copy when you can go and get just the digital copy for much less? I don't know. I will say Solo looks really good on 4K, but I never realized how visually different it was from the other films.
What's up with the cover of the Blu-ray where everybody but Solo is obviously a picture and he looks like a drawing?
Honestly, I think it's all a painting. I just think that the background characters, because they're smaller, because it's obviously layered. Their details are crisper because they are in the backgrounds. It's this. I mean, I bet you if they were all the same size, you'd notice they were paintings better. But Solo on Blu-ray, the color palette is so.
I will
muted.
say Chewie looks ridiculous on the cover.
Yes, he did. And Sandy Newton was so underused in that movie.
I mean, his legs look awful.
Well, come on now. He doesn't get the chance to shave very often. Jeez. Don't judge him.
No, it's not. It look instead of looking like he has furry legs, it looks like he's wearing pants made of fur.
You don't know how long he was in that pit. Again, don't judge. Jeez, what's wrong with you? Poor guy's been, tormented and tortured. Come on. He's going to be part of the Me Too movement at this rate. Come on.
Now, okay. We've talked fandom and how they feel that because if it's not what they're getting, they're going to not pay for it, and that'll show them. And I really think that's the wrong idea.
Hold on. You got nothing out of that one? No chuckles, nothing?
No. The aspect that this whole, well, if they don't give us what we want and we don't buy what they give us, they'll just give us what we want. No, they'll just stop making them. Hence, because Solo underperformed and all this stuff, that yes, Disney has pulled back. They had other Star Wars stories movies slated, and now they might not even make them just because. And you know what? That was the backfire. It was ha ha ha. Because everybody wants an Obi-Wan movie, but now it ain't going to happen.
Well, the funny thing is, though, in a way, I think Disney was right to pull back because they were oversaturating the market.
They were.
And I think that's more to blame for Solo's struggles than people, I'm mad over Last Jedi or whatever.
Yeah, I think, there's a combination of a whole lot of it. And that's a lot. I think that's right on. They were oversaturating. There was too much, too fast. It was like bam, 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 bam.
I think the mistake that they made is they were all still being viewed as tentpole releases. Leave the main ones as tentpole releases and do the other ones almost as B-movie style.
Yeah. This isn't the Marvel Universe.
Don't try to put Solo on the same level as Last Jedi. They got lucky with Rogue One in that it's just an absolutely amazing movie, but it poisoned the well for the ones coming after it.
True. But no, I mean, the Obi-Wan movie that everybody seems to want, that everybody's like, oh, make an Obi-Wan movie, it's not going to happen now. And
we're probably not going to get a Lando movie either.
Exactly. We probably won't get a Lando movie. And that's
what I wanted, a Lando movie, a Boba Fett movie, and an Obi-Wan movie. We didn't need a Solo movie.
No, I don't think we needed a Solo movie. Because
we got a pretty good movie out of it, but we didn't need it.
Yeah, a Lando movie probably would have been a better bet just because, and you could have thrown in the meeting with Han Solo. Real easy. But Lando was a character that was very underdeveloped comparatively, and I think it would have flown better. But now we're probably not going to get anything because, and they're all patting themselves on the back. Ha ha ha! Look what we did. Yeah, look what you did.
Yeah, I think
if in a business where it's to make money, if it's not making money, guess what they stop making?
movies.
They stop making the movies.
But yeah, I think instead of the Solo movie, we should have gotten a Lando movie where we're meeting him as he loses or right after he loses the Falcon, and it's about him building himself back up from that point.
Would have been fine.
That would have been. I would have seen that.
Yep. But this patting yourself on the back, look what we did. It's like Star Trek going through the same thing.
Yeah,
But
what you did is crap the bed, literally.
Yeah.
Well,
Star
not
Trek
literally, but
Star Trek has the problem right now. CBS and Star Trek have the problem right now that I was amazed when I read Marina Sirtis's reasoning as to why she's not watching Discovery. She came right out and said, "I'm not paying to watch it."
You'd think they would just gift her a subscription.
You think so, but she came right out and said, "She goes, I think that was a bad move. That you are making people pay." And in all honesty, there is nothing on CBS All Access that I want to watch. There really isn't. There is nothing else that they air on that I would want to watch. So if I'm only paying for one, I'm still on that fence where I'm like, yeah, there's nothing else here for me. It's like, you can watch all the original Star Treks. I could do that on Amazon. And I get everything. Yeah. And I get all this other stuff. But CBS also has the black eye from the Axanar lawsuit, and then then the PR damage that caused because of the fans that did enjoy Axanar and saw it as an attack on fans,
which it wasn't.
And which it wasn't. How dare you attack the fans? No, it's how dare you think that you could do this? You don't own Star Trek. You don't own Star Wars. You don't own these things just because you enjoy them.
Oh, like this new one where they're attacking them for taking down
Plan 9.
Stage 9 or whatever.
Stage 9 VR.
And people are going, oh, it's because of Ubisoft. Yeah, it is.
It's exactly what it is.
CBS has to protect their licensees, whether that project was making money or not. It was competing directly with a licensed project, and CBS was therefore legally obligated to go after them.
Exactly. It has nothing to do with, well, let's go shit on the fans. It has nothing to do with that.
It sucks that they had to do it, but I'm going to defend them for doing it because it was a legal obligation.
If someone were to say, you know what, I'm going to make a Star Wars game, and I'm going to go out there and I'm going to give it for free, and we're going to have these big epic battles, Lucasfilm and Disney would have to do the exact same thing.
Well, it's
not yours to play. You can't do that. And while I really the Stage 9 stuff was awesome. They did such a good job with it, and it is such a shame that they had to get shut down, but they did because there was a licensed product out there. That's something. It's not just about the fans. This is all money. It is all about. This is a business.
That's why I think the other Stage 9 is in trouble.
Oh yeah.
It's coming. Colley's pretty much said as much.
Oh yeah, it's on its way. And for those who don't know, James Cawley, who has the license now through CBS for the set tour in Ticonderoga, he has that license. That's his. And a lot of people can complain, well, you started off by infringing, by making the Star Trek stuff, and then turned around. Yeah, he turned around and he went to CBS and said, I don't want to destroy these things. Could we do this?
He also was talking to them from day one of his series.
Yes.
Saying, the second I cross the line, you tell me.
Yep.
You tell me and I'll be done.
Now, did what, and he did it smart. And CBS turned around and said, you know what, this is awesome. We'll license this out, and we'll both make money. How's that? And he was like, yeah, let's go. And now they're both making money. It is a business. It's in this. It's, to be honest, it's in the spirit of the Great Bird of the Galaxy. Gene Roddenberry was out to make money. Star Trek was a money-making venture. It was
Yes,
not.
that's why there's lyrics to the TOS theme song.
A lot of fans have it in their head that he was some grand architect for the future. No, he was out to make a buck, just like anybody else in Hollywood. You don't get into this business. You don't get into that business to do things for free.
I mean, don't get me wrong. The man was very progressive.
Yes.
But part of the reason he was progressive is he saw money in pushing the envelope.
Yeah, I agree with that.
This is where the fandoms need to either, there needs to be some kind of shaking of the tree or something, and maybe there needs to, maybe at one of these conventions or something that comes up, one of the bigger conventions, maybe it's Star Trek convention or San Diego Comic-Con, maybe someone should get some lawyers together and have them do a panel on intellectual property rights and why it's such a big deal. Maybe that'll open some eyes to people. And if you put it in a position, in a place where they're all going to be and people can hear it laid out in a way that makes sense and is shown to them that this is what it is, guys. Yes, we understand that it's your money that you're spending, and you have the right to not spend the money on something if you don't want to, but you don't have the right to go out and make something for free using someone else's property just because you don't think you need to pay for it.
Now, where I will say that CBS appears to be screwing up and crapping on the fan base a little bit is with these short tracks.
True.
In that, as of right now, there's apparently no plan for the rest of the world to get them.
Netflix. Oh, wait, that's right. No,
Netflix isn't getting them,
Netflix turned
supposedly.
them down. That's right. And it's only, but again, that falls under whether or not the licensee wants to pick it up. That's really out of CBS's hands. They can offer it and say, okay, we've got these things coming up. If Netflix doesn't pick it up and says, you know what, we're going to pass, that's not on CBS's head.
But is that what
That's on
did
Netflix.
Netflix pass, or did CBS not offer it to them? That's where I
think Netflix passed.
That's where I haven't been able to get a straight answer.
I think Netflix passed on it. I think that's, I got to go back and research it again, but I don't think that I don't think the ball was on CBS's court on that one.
I don't know. I don't know if you saw what I posted in our one group about how my idea was that Netflix, even if they don't get them early like we are, maybe eventually they'll release it as like an anthology episode of Discovery.
Possible. See, I'm on right now. We've got all these streaming channels popping up. We got DC Universe. We got CBS All Access. Star Wars is Disney's already got their apps out there, but they're talking about a streaming service. Now, these are all things you're going to have to pay for. There's
going to have to be a shift in price structure for it to be worth it.
There's going to have to be something, because this is going to. There are a lot of people I mean, I'm one of them. I'm like, okay, wait a second. When are we going to kill television? That's my question. When is network television and cable television, all that, finally going to just go away and it all becomes internet-based? Because right now, paying for cable to watch the Disney Channel and all these other channels, CBS, NBC, and all that kind of stuff, and then on top of that, paying an individual price for every one of these streaming channels, they're going to price themselves out. Somewhere along the line, there's going to have to be a breaking point where either everything goes streaming under a blanket cost somewhere, or you just go put it back on network television. Because
I know Amazon was trying to curate them, like the whole CBS All Access ties into Amazon Prime thing, and like Showtime and some of the other ones do.
You still have to pay for it.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Where they screwed up is you still have to pay for the individual services and then tie them into your Prime.
which makes no sense. It's like, well, why not just download the app and have it on my Roku or on my tablet?
Well, because the point that they're trying to make is, oh, well, it's all in one place.
Exactly. Now, that would have been a wise idea to do. Instead of charging $10, license or send it out through Amazon. Amazon can up their price by a couple of bucks, and then they offer more stuff.
Well,
There you go.
my thing is, what they should do maybe is offer two versions. You pay the $9.99 a month or whatever for their direct streaming app, or $3 a month for a stripped down version through Amazon that has the popular stuff, but not necessarily the full back catalog or something like that.
Because I haven't seen the pricing structure on DC Universe. Does anybody know how much that's going to cost?
Have they released the pricing structure?
Well, seeing as Titans is supposed to air in the next next week or something, they're going to have to. And then we have the Star Wars one. There's going to be a Star Wars app or a Star Wars streaming channel, which I'm like, well, boy, how are you going to do that when
DC
not
Universe
that much?
is $7.99 per month.
Okay. So you got $7.99 per month for the DC.
Or $74.99 a year.
Okay. So you got Netflix, you got Amazon, which I have both. Then you got Hulu, and then you have CBS All Access, and then you got the DC Universe one. Then Disney's going to have theirs debuting soon. And you have all this other stuff out there. You're going to be dropping $600 a month just in streaming channels.
Yeah, but don't forget DC Universe also includes digital comic books.
That's true, it does.
Because otherwise there'd be almost no reason to touch it right now. There wouldn't be enough new content without the comic books to make it worth it right now.
True. And honestly, that's how I feel about CBS All Access. There's not enough content out there for it to be worth it for me.
Yeah, see that's the problem is CBS is trying to balance their stuff between the network and All Access, so they're not creating as many new shows for All Access as they should, and they're still creating stuff for the network. They need to create like a sub studio specifically for All Access, creating shows that wouldn't necessarily work on the network, because right now I don't think there's anything on All Access that wouldn't work on the TV network.
Firefly, I thank you for that link because this is another aspect of it.
Piracy!
The piracy aspect. And you can go, there are tons of pirate sites out there where you can go and watch stuff that are on streaming channels because people, there's a market for it. People are like, wait a second, I can go to this place and it's all right there. It's increased it. The Netflix
I'm not
exclusive.
sure if it's increasing it, or more people are just they're noticing it more. Maybe.
I think it actually is increasing.
It is increasing because when you've got exclusive things for Netflix that if you don't have Netflix, you can't watch, or you don't have HBO, you can't watch, or you don't have CBS, you can't watch.
Well, see, what I think is funny is they're analyzing BitTorrent traffic and how it's increasing it. But the funny thing is, I use BitTorrent less than ever. There's other ways to do it that I do now, if I do it.
Now, I will say Amazon has enough on there to make it worthwhile, plus their originals. I just binge watched Jack Ryan.
Actually, I've been finding less to watch on Amazon lately.
I will say Jack Ryan, that was a good show. That was really, really well done.
But some of that for me is I have yet to really sit down and watch any of the Amazon originals outside of the Grand Tour.
Well, I hear Man in the High Castle is incredible.
I watched the first episode like way back when they released it as a preview, and I liked it a lot, but I've never sat down and watched it now that the series is there.
I probably should. I don't get to watch TV as much as I did, and the Jack Ryan binge wasn't something I was planning on doing. It's just it happened because I was wrapped in it, and I was like, I got to keep watching. It's kind of how I felt. My wife and I were with Stranger Things. We would watch an episode, and next thing you know, it's 4 a.m. And we're like, we gotta go to sleep. But because the shows are that engaging, and Jack Ryan is engaging. It really does it keeps your attention. It's a well written, well crafted show. And I put this on Twitter the last night. After watching that, if Disney and Marvel do not at least offer the role of Mr. Fantastic to John Krasinski, they're going to be missing out. He needs to play Mr. Fantastic.
Honestly, I've been finding myself watching YouTube more than anything because I can sit down, watch something for 20 minutes and get up and walk away, or I can immediately switch to something completely different on YouTube. I haven't been watching nearly as much, like directly watching television. Like it'll be on in the background, but I'm not watching it often.
Badger and Tank, you've been awfully quiet throughout this.
Well, been discussing a couple things outside of this.
Oh, okay.
Nothing I can really reveal at this point.
Okay. Now, I'm just curious. I mean, I am in no way a rich person, and there are budgets. I mean, I've got kids, and we have to budget our money and watch what we're doing and stuff like that. When it comes to the younger generations, who right now, I mean, when you really look at the social climate as things are, the money that the younger people are making is not up to snuff. So when you've got all this stuff out there and all this entertainment out there that now it's all carte blanche and you have to pay for it. Is this a bubble that's going to pop?
I think there's going to be a point where people just be like, no, we can't do it. You're nickel and diming people, which is literally what's happening. You had HBO. Well, Netflix came first. All right. Yes. And Netflix was good. And then you got Hulu. All right. And then HBO did it. And now you got CBS and Disney and, all these others. It's like, I'm not going to do it. I can't do that. I'm already paying $75 about $75 a month just to connect to the internet. And then you want me to pay an additional, let's see, just out of the 5 there, practically $10 each, another $50? No, I can't do that.
I already pay enough for access to the internet.
The problem is that the cable and satellite providers screwed up with their online offerings. Like when I still technically have Spectrum, but it's not my account. But when I had Spectrum, if I was in the house, I could watch 99% of the channels on my computer. But out of the house, my selection was severely limited. So where they screwed up was they should have tied these companies and these networks into exclusive deals and offered online only cable separate from house cable, where you could watch everything on your phone or on the tablet or on the computer on the go. And they waited too long to attempt that.
Yeah. Well, it's perfect. I mean, when you really lay it out, when you're paying for cable or you're paying for internet, you're already paying. Some people, it depends on who you have and who your provider is and how fast the streams and stuff are. You're already dropping $75, $80 a month for that. Okay. You start adding things to it and you're like, okay, gotta pay for Netflix, gotta pay for that, gotta pay for this, gotta pay for that. And then you have to take into account the amount of data being sent over. And if you have a data cap, a lot of companies still have data caps. If I want to watch an Amazon Ultra HD, that comes through on, I did it. I just watched like 10 minutes of an Ultra HD documentary. Like, I think it was the ocean one. And then I went to check to see how much data I used that day. It was insane. We're talking gigabytes, and I only watched 10 minutes of this. Gigabytes of data in that 10 minutes because it was an Ultra HD. An HD signal, for HD to come through anywhere close to a full or UHD signal, 4K signal, which it's still not a true 4K. And this is where it's going to come to bite them in the butt, because people with data caps and cable companies with data caps are the reason why this is not going to work. And I also think that this is the when you get a 4K signal, They can claim it's 4K, but a true 4K signal it's impossible to get through on a line. The amount of data that has to get transferred to your television for it to be a 4K picture, a true 4K picture, is insane. It is gigabytes per second at that point. And it's not gonna be financially feasible along the line. So they dumb it down. This is why I think hard copies are going to come back. Everyone's like, oh, the DVD and the Blu-ray are going to die. No, they're not.
No, because the quality is
So much better.
And I personally like having the hard copy, whereas if you go with the digital copies, where it's on a server somewhere, oh no, we shut it off. Sorry, you don't have it anymore. That's always been my biggest concern. Now, granted, there may come a day where we say I go to a Blu-ray player and it dies on me, but there's no more Blu-ray players. Then I've sunk a ton of money into things I can't use anymore. I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon, but still.
I'm not gonna lie. I still buy actual DVDs for one thing, and that is some of my daughter's kids' shows.
Yeah, if it's something that's if it's gonna be disposable because it's not gonna get watched.
Well, not even that. There is zero reason for her, especially when you're dealing with animation that wasn't HD when it was produced. There's no reason for HD cartoon stuff for my 7-year-old.
True. Believe me, I'm right there with you.
I mean, because Caillou's going to have squiggly lines on DVD or Blu-ray or 4K.
Caillou, bald little kid.
That was just the first thing that popped.
I know. Believe me, my kids like it too.
Daniel Tiger, that's the one she watches a lot of.
Yes. And there's no reason for Daniel Tiger to be in HD.
Now Daniel Tiger, the newer ones, I think, are produced in HD, but there's not a major difference in it at all.
And there's no reason. Yeah, I understand that completely. Now, do I have a buttload of Disney DVDs? Yes. Or Blu-rays? Yeah. You know why? Because I like them. I am a big fan of animation, and it's amazing sometimes. I don't have any 4K of the animation stuff yet, but I have Blu-rays.
That's a distinct difference. You, especially with your artistic eye, you notice all that stuff.
Yes.
My kid just wants to see Daniel Tiger.
Same thing. Yeah, my kids don't care. They could watch. I mean, they can watch the dumbest thing and be like, okay. My
kid would
like,
probably watch Barbie. Daniel Tiger on Betamax if I had it.
And what's really funny is sometimes my daughter is amazing when it comes to this kind of stuff. She wanted to buy a Barbie movie, and we went to the store. And I was like, okay, you got money, you want to buy a Barbie movie? And she went over and she picked up the Blu-ray and she's looking at it, and she puts the Bluray back and grabs the DVD and walks over. I'll get this one, Daddy. I was like, are you sure you don't want to get the Blu-ray? She goes, no, I don't need it. I was like, okay. And I was like, yeah, you don't. All right, good.
All right, changing tracks here, I guess. We got Firefly mentioning about, on a completely unrelated note, it amuses him that the planned B mount over in World of Warcraft has idle animations based on actual bee dances. So
why wouldn't it? That's awesome.
Well, sure. It's just that in order to do it, that's an awful lot of animation and programming to do. So, granted, it's Blizzard. They will do quality work, so I can see them actually going through that. But all the same, it's like, all right, well, it's kind of amusing.
As long as WoW is making them large amounts of money, they will put large amounts of work into it.
Oh, yeah, that's the way it should be. Which next week, speaking of MMOs, we will have the next expansion, as it were, to Star Trek Online, and they're already preparing. I saw pre-patching for it last night, actually, for the Age of Discovery.
You see, WoW has managed to do what most MMOs can't. They've managed to evolve the game to such a level that, like, if I were to try to play WoW now compared to when I played it, it's almost unrecognizable in terms of the differences in the game.
Sure. Although you can say the same thing with Star Trek Online. Especially when you talk to others in 575 who were there from the very beginning, like Alistair and Trekkie and such. Yeah, the beginning game is completely different from what it is today. And even I've seen it over the 8 years I came in like a year after, I think. And yeah, the changes they've added to that game have been, and improvements they've made have been significant. You would not recognize the two.
Yeah, I'm not saying that other games haven't hit on a formula that works for that. But the funny thing about WoW is so much of the evolution in WoW wasn't out of necessity so much as just because they wanted to.
Well, yeah, they just had that kind of, buying power, as it were.
Stowe had to evolve because, well, they started behind the 8 ball, because from I've heard you guys talk about when that game first came up, and yeah, it was awesome to be playing a Star Trek game as an MMO, but wasn't the mechanics and everything just awful?
Oh yeah, it had a lot of issues. I mean, when I was just off active duty, Star Wars Galaxies came out, but before that, I knew it was coming. And apparently, Sony had been in negotiations to do a Star Trek MMO as well. And it was a toss up which one was going to be picked up first, and they went with Galaxies. And it was a few years later, during Galaxies is out, they had news reports come out about Star Trek Online is coming, they're being worked on, and then all of a sudden the company that was working on it went kaput, and another company, Cryptic, came in and bought all of the stuff, and they just built on that, and then they put something out so they could get something out. And there was a lot of bad things in the original part of original game, like ESD. ESD was bad.
Yep, terrible. I remember the first year.
And then there are game mechanics that just don't work on newer games, like the one I play. The squad system is broken. It was broken when it first started on Battlefront. Woof. Which makes no sense, because Battlefield has had a squad system that works for years. Yet it doesn't work in Battlefield.
Well, I mean, there was a lot of stuff in that game that was messed up from the beginning.
Here, check out the cantina. I just dropped what ESD looked like originally.
Oh no.
Are you having PTSD there, Badger?
No, something else.
Oh, okay.
What were they thinking?
Well, remember, they picked up all of the assets from the other company that had just...
But you're talking about one of the most iconic structures in Star Trek, one of the things that should be instantly recognizable.
Yeah, but the model didn't exist when Cryptic took it over. So they had to build that later, I think within a year. But yeah, you're right. Why didn't they do it in the first place? Meh. But yeah, they were just trying to work with what they had, and they're still kind of doing that.
That would be like if Star Wars Galaxies had Death Stars that were cubes.
Resistance is futile. But we're running the gambit, guys. We did 2 hours, and we just flew through those 2 hours.
Oh, by the way, I did go check Best Buy. Same deal. Blu-ray, DVD, or you get the 4K version. They're really trying to push on to that 4K Ultra HD.
Well, yeah, because it's the next thing. It's the next step in the evolution.
I don't have anything in my house that can do 4K.
Neither do I. Well, maybe my monitor, but that's it.
I don't think my monitors can, considering...
4Ks are coming down in price. They really are. 4K TVs and 4K Blu-rays are coming down in price, and they will be... I would judge sometime in the next 6 months to a year, they will be just as affordable as... We'll see regular HD TVs starting to phase out, and 4K will become the norm.
If they ain't about $100, I can't get it.
Yeah, I'm not in a position at the moment to add anything major technology-wise. I mean, you're talking to someone who is calling around to the local scrap yards to see if they have computer parts bins so I can maybe go scavenge stuff.
Hey, believe me, I understand completely. The 4K TV I have is great, it was, I mean, it's a Vizio, and Vizio is a really good, low-priced 4K, but I bought mine just before the, what is it? The high-end, whatever they call that, HDR or whatever it is.
Yeah, something high
Literally,
dynamic
it's like,
range or something.
yeah, the right before that was instituted into all the new TVs.
One of my buddies was telling me that he says he's had two 4K TVs, his original one, and then when it died, he had happened to just get a bonus from work and he bought a new one. And he said the difference was like he's not understanding how the first one could be called 4K compared to the second one.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, that's kind of like the old HD TVs. When you look at the original HD TVs when they came out, and then you look at one now, you're like, how in the
But
world?
there was a difference in resolution. You're talking about 720p versus 1080i and then 1080p. But 4K, that's supposed to be the resolution.
Yeah,
But what he's saying is his original 4K TV versus the one he has now, it's almost like the jump from,
really?
you know, yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure what the brand is of his new one, though. He may have gone really high end because he's in a pretty well paid industry at the moment.
No, good for him.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
I love to hear
I
people.
I don't begrudge him at all. He worked really hard to get there.
Yeah, and that's the same thing. We got our TV, we got our taxes back, and my wife was like, you know what? For your birthday, just don't expect anything else for the rest of the year. And I was like, fine. And she bought me a 4K TV for my birthday. And again, it wasn't really that. I mean, comparatively, when I look back on it, I go back a decade or so, and I'm thinking, okay, I remember I had bought myself a brand new Philips television, 30 or 40 some odd inch. It was one of the big old box, weighed 900-pound TVs. I paid more for that than I did for the 4K TV. And of course, I bought that right before HD TVs came into the big thing, and they were saying if you wanted it HD, you had to drop like $3,000 for it. And I was like, yeah, no. But
I think the big difference now is going to be that even the low end TVs are starting to run at 120 hertz or whatever and higher.
Yep.
Because like Walmart, man, for the longest time, unless you dropped on the high end TVs, all their TVs were secretly 60, not 120.
Yeah, and they fake it, and they get around it by faking it. But now the 120 seems to be the standard, true 120 or higher, or 240, and that kind of stuff. So
and now you've got FreeSync TVs coming out.
Yeah, the evolution is there. And again, it's just the way. Same thing. VCRs when they first came out, they were like what, $2,000, and then within 5 years of it becoming the norm, they dropped down to where you can get one for $150, and then it turned where you can get one for $30 or $25, and then they phased them out. And DVD players were the same way. You wanted a DVD player, you dropped a couple $100, and then all of a sudden, within a few years, they were $50. Everybody, I mean, you can get one for cheap. And the same thing
I just find it funny the way DVD cases evolved with DVD players. Because originally you had those cardboard ones with that fold over plastic piece to hold it shut.
They were crap. I think I had the Matrix, and it was one of those.
Well, my stepdad got into DVDs early, so a lot of our DVDs at one point were like that. And I was just like, this is awful.
Mm-hmm.
I never understood why they didn't just put them in CD jewel cases.
Yeah. I guess because of the packet, the poster art. Poster art is never a square, whereas CD jewel cases are a square. So you want to get the poster art on the front of a cover, it needs to have an elongated, it needs to be a rectangle.
It's true. Though I probably should actually take all of my DVDs out of the cases finally and put them in the big old folder thing.
Be careful with that because you risk scratching them every time you pull them in and out.
Which is one of my complaints about the Star Wars Saga Blu-rays. They're in that box. They're in a cardboard sleeve box thingy, and it's like a book. and you have to pull them across the cardboard. And every time I'm like, I know Blu-rays are supposedly a little more beefier plastic-wise, but the risk of scratching them is still there.
I'm surprised you don't have the steel cases.
I don't know. Well, I don't know. Steel case. It's like, why? They don't have a steel case of the original. When it first came out, it was only in a cardboard box. I've got the original release of the Star Wars saga.
I don't know. I know I've bought most of my I don't have all the Star Wars movies on DVD or Blu-ray, but I know I've bought a few in the last few years. I know I've got A New Hope as a steel case. I think Empire somewhere as a steel case.
I have all of them on DVD, and that's pretty much it. I know eventually I'll probably want to get them on Blu-ray, but at this point, if they're going to be doing it all 4K stuff, I might as well just wait and get them all as the 4K pack or something.
And I don't have Force Awakens or Last Jedi on Blu-ray or DVD.
I am such a bad person because I would actually forego eating if something came out that I wanted.
In fact, I think
I don't want to hear it.
I think the last Star Wars movies I bought, and this is going to sound really bad, but I found the original 3 VHS releases of New Hope, Empire, and Jedi at a yard sale, and I bought those.
Were they in which box were they in? Was that the one with Vader's face on it?
No. I'm talking about the original ones.
With the original poster art.
The original New Hope release, the original Empire release, and the original Jedi release with that Fox Video logo with the lines on the side.
Yep.
I'm not even talking about the later 80s releases. I'm talking about the first run ones of each one.
This is when Star Wars came out on DVD, it was a big deal. And it was actually bought for me by my coworkers as a going away present when I moved to Florida. And it was like, because I was like, oh, I got to buy this. And I never did. And I kept talking about it. And my last day at work, they handed me this thing, said, here you go, going away present. I opened it up and I was almost in tears. I was like, you guys, this is so awesome, blah, blah, blah. So I have that, which it was in the cardboard sleeve. You pulled them apart and it was like silver and black. And then they re-released them on Blu-ray and for some reason, or on DVD. And for some reason, even though I already owned them, I think it came with an extra disc or something. I bought the whole set again. So now I have 2 sets of the movies on DVD. And then I was like, okay, well, why did I do that? And then they came out, and then I already still had my original VHS copies. 2 versions of those. I have 2 versions of those. I have all 6 films on VHS as well as on Blu-ray or on DVD. Now I have the Blu-ray set. And I think of the original trilogy, I have 5 different versions of it on different media formats.
Yeah, I'm not too far off. I don't have the Blu-rays, so there's that.
What's really funny is I remember because I had when they released them back in the late or the late 90s, I had the original trilogy set, but I was like, you know what? I want that old box art. So I went on eBay and I found somebody who was selling them. But they didn't have any pictures. They just said it's the original releases. And I was like, okay. And he had a really dirt cheap price on them. So I won the bid. I was like, whatever. I got them for like $27. And I get this box, and it was the blue box with the hologram foil thing on the front, with the book inside, and the From Star Wars to Jedi VHS copy in there as well. And it blew my mind. I was like, I can't believe I got this for $27. And so I have that copy. And it was just, I got too many copies of the original trilogy.
Maybe a little bit.
Yeah. But I'm a collector, so.
Yeah, collectors got to collect. That's why I got to collect all of the actual Legends books. Well, not all, just the main ones, you know. Anyway, we should wrap it up.
We should.
I'm going to buy Solo on Blu-ray to show my support for that movie. But my next major Star Wars purchase, and this could probably be years down the line, even if I don't find a Laserdisc player anytime soon, I'm going to buy the original trilogy on Laserdisc.
Have fun finding those for a price that's worth it. It's like trying to find a Star Trek, or was it Star Trek 3 on Laserdisc? Have fun trying to find that. That's not outrageously priced. because collectors want them bad. And I hear the picture quality is actually pretty good on them. But we should wrap it up. You know what we're going to wrap it up?
Let's see. On eBay, there's a buy it now Star Wars Trilogy widescreen original version rare laserdisc for all three for $35. Now that's
Really?
That's not the box definitive collection one, but it's all three movies for $35. Let's see. Original. Looks like New Hope. It doesn't even say New Hope. It just says Star Wars, but it's definitely New Hope. $4.99. But it doesn't look like it's necessarily in, like, the case is necessarily in the best shape.
Where can you find a Laserdisc player, though?
I had one, but I had to get rid of it when I moved because it was a giant karaoke Laserdisc thing.
Oh.
I actually got it for free from the local VFW in Wilmington because they were getting rid of it.
Wow. Yeah, I never thought about late. I mean, because just they were so big.
You can even get Phantom Menace on Laserdisc.
Yep. But we should wrap this up. I think we're going to wrap it up with a feel-good story for those of us who enjoy collecting toys.
Which should be all of us.
Which should be all. Yeah, if you're a geek, you collect toys. But
or you collect something.
We all know that Toys R Us shut its doors in the summer. They were just getting destroyed by Amazon and all the other retailers out there that sell toys because they sold them cheaper. You can get the same thing at Walmart and it would be cheaper. Hopefully they learned from their mistakes, and when they canceled the bankruptcy auction for Toys R Us. Then they found some new investors who are looking on bringing the brand back soon, fairly soon.
Which is kind of a whiplash thing.
Yeah.
Like, how they were doing so poorly? How can you bring it back that quick?
I mean, look at other stores that did. I mean, Circuit City went the way. I mean, Circuit City just closed. H.H. Gregg just closed. That was it. They were done. But Toys R Us, what?
Go ahead.
Go right ahead. What you were going to say?
Have you ever heard of a media play?
Media play?
Isn't that like a really old video rental company?
It was supposed to combat Best Buy at the time, and because they had books, they had CDs, movies, albums. They had, like, I don't say nerd gear, but they had like nerdy type stuff as well. Hold on, let me bring up a thing about it.
Okay.
Oh, here we go. I can get Star Wars on CED.
CED? Oh my god, I hadn't even heard that in so long. I don't even know what it stands for. I vaguely recall it now.
Isn't it something like capacitance electronic disc or something?
I honestly don't know. I never saw one.
You may have and probably mistook it for Laserdisc. A lot of people do.
Toys R Us, my biggest complaint about Toys R Us was the way they price things. Things that were not exclusive to Toys R Us, just on the average, were $5 to $10 more expensive at Toys R Us than they were in other stores. Action figures being the biggest example, because I collect action figures. I could go to Toys R Us and buy a Star Wars Black Series Stormtrooper, and it would be $20, $19.99. The same exact Stormtrooper I could go to Walmart and get for, at the time, $18.99 or $17.99. Now they're down to like $17.25 at Walmart. They dropped the price. They would get exclusive toys, and those were cool. Toys R Us would get exclusives from Hasbro and stuff. And that was where you would go. I would spend my money. If I could only get it at Toys R Us, then I would spend the money. But if I could get it anywhere else, I always got it somewhere else because I knew they would be cheaper.
One of the things that used to kill me about the Toys R Us near me in Wilmington is somebody would unearth some older Nerf blaster from the warehouse somewhere. When Walmart finds older toys like that, they slap it in the discount aisle and put a cheapo price on it. Toys R Us, man, they put a primo price on it, and it sits there, and nobody buys it.
And that was I think that was the problem. Toys R Us, I understand there's overhead. I understand that's all you do is toys. But that's just it. All you do is toys. You should price competitively because you want people walking in there and buying from you.
Yeah.
Not saying, well, I mean, this is you're getting. It's like the ambiance is it's like
price competitively and push for exclusives.
True.
Well,
and
it's kind of like with Target though, Target versus Walmart, where you do pay more at Target, and there's also those exclusives. Like at Target, we got this version, and
Target gets a lot of exclusive stuff.
They do get a lot of exclusive stuff. Walmart used to.
Toys R Us used to get some exclusive stuff from some of like the Nerf stuff and everything.
Oh, but anything Hasbro.
Well, no, not even just some of the Nerf competitors would release exclusive Toys R Us blasters, but you weren't just paying the Toys R Us premium. Then you were then also paying the exclusivity premium.
True, and I never understood that. I was like, well, if I can get just a regular Star Wars figure at Target or Walmart, and Walmart is always going to be the cheapest. Target would be the next one up, and then Toys R Us was the higher end.
But you also had stuff. Yeah, but you also had stuff that was at Toys R Us that wouldn't be at the other two,
because they had the shelf space for it.
Sure,
and that would be the cool aspect of it because I knew I could find it at Toys R Us, then and nobody else had it. I would go to Toys R Us and buy it. But if I knew I could get Luke Skywalker at Walmart compared to Toys R Us, I was going to go to Walmart because I could save a few bucks. I mean, they're all within the same driving distance. It's not like I had to drive out of my way to go to Walmart. I mean, you can spit and hit a Walmart.
I got
Starbucks.
I got a funny one for you. Toys R Us was having sales where stuff was cheaper on the website.
Yep.
But you could order it for pickup from the store where they would pull it off the store shelves and you'd pay the website price.
Yep. You couldn't but they would not match their own website price in the store.
But you didn't need to. I ordered it from the website. They put it aside for me. They pulled it off the shelf.
I did it many times.
And I just walked in and got it and walked out.
Well, I did that one time. I walked in, I was like, oh, and I looked online. I was like, oh, cool, $6.99. Go in there, and it's $9.99 on the shelf. And I went up. I was like, can you match the online price? And they gave me some runaround as to why they couldn't. I was like, but it's the same company. I could literally go outside right now, or I could stand here right in front of you, order this, and within 2 hours, someone is going to come out on the shelf and bring it back, and it's going to be the same toy. And you guys just lost $3, supposedly, because I paid the online price. Why won't you just match it here? She goes, we just can't do it. Walmart, on the other hand,
not only did they lose $3, they put in more work.
Exactly.
That said, we should wrap up. Although Firefly did drop a wrap up of Rogue One with with Star Wars meets Full Metal Jacket, Full Metal Rogue.
I'm gonna have to watch it afterward.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
Good night, guys.
Good night, everybody. Well, we'll be back next week. Alistair, if you're out there, if you're listening, are you gonna be back next week?
Same geek time,
blink twice.
Channel.
Blink twice if you'll be back.
For those who are listening, thanks for hanging out with us for the past 2 hours and 20 some odd minutes.
Thank you for joining us, Ruffle.
Wow, there's a lot of users in the thing. I mean,
bots.
Most of them
probably those Russian bots we were talking about earlier.
We need to learn how to use these bots to bring people here.
They're on to us.
Either way, thank you for those who aren't bots and are listening to us. Thanks for listening. Hope we didn't bore you too much. This is actually we rambled for a long. We didn't even ramble. We actually had pretty good conversations this time around. We'll be back next week with
we actually have things
more.
To talk about.
Badger and I will probably be talking about Venom.
I will not be on next Wednesday.
Okay,
yeah, he's every other one.
I'll be talking about Venom because I'm pretty sure I'm going to see it this weekend. But whatever else pops up in the pop culture,
Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Okay,
That
Oh,
was
they've caught on.
fantastic.
I may finally go to see that.
Oh, okay. It comes out on Blu-ray next week, doesn't it?
I can go see it for like $3 on the big screen though.
There you go. Go see it on the big screen.
Do it.
But, yeah. Say goodnight. Badger, you already did. We're done.
Later.
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 Bye.
We don't have a closer anymore, so I just shut off the stream. See